Ready, fight.
Okay, in the bottom left, in the blue, one of the best Protosses there is. He is
Gosu Crew Classic.
And in the upper right, in the red, from Canada, our Zerg player, she is
SCARLETT.
Wow, lots of cheers here for SCARLETT.
That was a lot of cheers.
Yeah, geez, where's my bro tosses at here? I mean, come on, this is classic for God's sake.
Okay.
By the way, that his new team, Gosu Crew.
Yeah.
That's kind of a funny team name.
I know, that's
I'm just thinking of like really bad rap verses with that.
They are the Bone Thugs and Harmony of esports, Artosis.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now that I have just you and me alone now, Tasteless. Okay,
That's
you don't
right.
have anyone to impress here, right?
Yeah.
Who actually wins this?
I think SCARLETT's going to win this.
Really?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think Classic's good, but look, it's not unreasonable to say Classic has had a hard time, and ZvP, I think SCARLETT's had, especially for the last few years, a lot of experience in Korea and outside Korea.
You're right about that, huh?
I mean, I don't see. I think it's actually going to be more of a surprise if Classic wins this.
Okay.
That's right. I said it.
Well, I mean, I feel like he's fixed a lot of his Protoss vs. Zerg problems lately. And yeah, he lost to Raynor, but Raynor played kind of out of his mind. Is SCARLETT going to bring that level? We'll see. We'll see. But I'm leaning a little bit here towards Classic right now.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens. Cybernetics core is done. Are we just going to have a Stargate thrown down here? Yes, we are.
This is StarCraft 2, Tasteless. Of course, there's a Stargate.
Well, I don't know. I want to see if Classic does anything crazy. We do have that sometimes. But
seems like
Stargate is absolutely the most common way to go.
If you don't see a Stargate unit at the time a Stargate unit that finishes, it feels like, how often do we see that from Protoss? Not too often. A lot of times
Especially
it's like an all-in type of crazy.
It would have to be, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't get the Stargate, then you don't have the harass. You don't have the ability to scout and tell what's going on.
Only player in this tournament that's not going to be making Stargates against Zerg is probably Haas.
That's right, man. He doesn't want those things unless the Stargate's right outside the Zerg's base covered with cannons.
Yeah. Like, look, if it also made cannons after it, then maybe.
Ooh, the Adept is going to go by here.
Yeah, Ling's actually walking way around. That actually could end up being a problem here for Classic.
Yeah, this may end up
that's a lot of
him
Lings.
off.
He sees just 2 here, though, so that's, you know, maybe that's going to throw him off.
There's no wall in yet. There's no wall in yet. And this is actually...
Speed's about to finish.
Oh, man. Here. Oh, I said it too soon. Hold on. Here we go.
Well, this is a problem. Speedling's coming in a quick pullback on that Adept. Probe's being pulled as well, but these Lings definitely going to get a bit of value.
I'm actually a little bit surprised. I thought, oh, wow, now he traps it inside. Nicely done. So SCARLETT's going to try to do something with these Lings to get a little bit more work done.
I love the recall on a single Adept. These Lings just flooding the front, though. I think that she has a very good chance of breaking through right now.
Yeah, and she has. The Lings have breached the base.
Well, Classic's definitely in trouble at this point. Another Adept pops out, but Warp Gate's still nowhere near done, and Oracle comes out. He needs to re-wall, though, immediately.
Right now, SCARLETT doing so much damage over here to these workers using the whole position micro. 7 probes are killed so far.
Oh, my gosh.
The Oracle, I mean, there's so many Lings. This Oracle is not going to kill these Lings in time. It's now down to 14 kills, and the Lings are going into the main of Classic.
Yeah, I don't know if there's more Lings on the way. It looks like she's droning up behind this, so it's done, but 14 kills? Look at that damage. That is serious damage.
And when you really look at it, it's going to be very, very difficult to try to recoup from here. In fact, going for this gateway again, it looks like with 2 Oracles, that's enough damage, and it's probably unwise for SCARLETT to keep her Lings there any further. But already the game on the Protoss side has basically been messed up, right? Yeah. This is really hard to navigate from here. And there's so many different directions that SCARLETT can try to take the game. I mean, she could have kept making Lings, right, and tried to end it there. But she, with her mental calculus, says, no, I think I've done enough damage. Now look at here. The Oracles are going to come out because SCARLETT, Classic needs to try to balance this out by doing some damage of his own, but there's another Ling counterattack. We don't have it on camera yet. Looks like it was just barely deflected, but SCARLETT did try to run inside the natural there.
Oh, a couple Oracles come up right now. A Queen gets picked off. Maybe there'll be an Overlord killed there. A few drones as well. Classic looking for bits of damage and finding like a little bit. But, you know, this isn't making up for the damage he took early on.
That's right. So Classic is going to have to back off. Now, Classic is continuing to make Oracles here. He's hoping that a multi-prong harass might be the way to get back into this game. But, again, he has to be careful because if he loses these Oracles...
He's got a couple very red Oracles right now.
Yeah. You got to be careful because if those get caught in the wrong position, they're all going to disappear.
Mm-hmm. Well, from here, I mean... yeah, he's got like 4 Oracles. That's pretty useful. Maybe you can get a little bit more damage done with that, but there's no third base yet. There's no real units that cause long-term problems. You know, like a couple Sentries go warping. We don't have like a Twilight. We don't have a Forge. The Robo's on the way. It's not done, so obviously no Immortals.
Yeah, this is really problematic. Now, it looks like Scarlet's going to try to come in here now. The Queen has been picked up. The drones are getting gunned down actually very quickly. This is a lot of damage, unfortunately, for Classic. Ooh. 2 of those Oracles were killed off. There's one that's badly, badly bruised. I think it's 1 hit away from being knocked out of the sky. And even though those are good drone kills there by Classic, it's still not enough. I mean, the amount of damage that Scarlett did, especially when you see that much damage done early on in a game, you're so behind from there.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. You know, like he's done so much to try to kill drones, but the rest of his game hasn't developed that much. You know, a lot of money put into those Oracles after taking so much damage. Look at this, 13 Hydras on the way. Like, the Classic doesn't have the right army to do anything against this. Those can stop any attacks that he's going to try to do, and certainly this little podunk army isn't going to do anything.
And Scarlett's being pretty cautious from here on out. She's not overextending at all with those Zerglings. Now, the combination of the Hydralisks and the Zerglings, this is a lot of times like a third base ender. Sometimes you can come in there and just basically roll over that expansion because the damage output is just so high.
Yeah, and I think that could be very much what we're going to see here coming up. There's a shield battery on the way, a group of units there, but like, oh man, you can even see that he's so desperate to be getting glaives at almost 8 minutes. That's like, that's screaming, okay, I got to do something crazy. I got to kind of go all in.
Unfortunately, Scarlett's going to have the initiative here. Yeah. Classic would have to hold this off before the glaives ever became a factor. There's so many banelings out here. The force fields will have to be perfect, but even if they are perfect, it might not be enough.
Yeah, force fields don't last forever, so good luck here to Classic. Okay, has to wall that first spot.
Not terrible. Unfortunately, it looks like Scarlett might be able to just get inside the natural here.
Oh, another good force field there, though. That was a fantastic force field, but the force fields are running out. Most of the army is sentries. These shield batteries, I don't think that's enough against this type of army. It looks to me like Scarlett's about to take game 1.
Yeah, it does look to be the case, as there's no way, really, for Classic to keep this base alive. GG.
Ready, fight.
In the upper left, in the blue, our Protoss player. He is...
Gosu Crew, Classic.
And his opponent down here in the bottom right, in the red, she is...
Scarlett.
Again, great cheers from the crowd here for Scarlett, a fan favorite. Poor Classic, the essence of Protoss, as he's called.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mostly for the frustration people have playing against him, as he is so good.
Yeah.
Nothing makes people angry like Protoss, Tasteless. That's for sure.
This is kind of funny situation here because I think it's not normal to have a Korean player in the studio against a non-Korean player where the entire studio is cheering for the non-Korean player to win. Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of non-Korean fans have actually flown in for this and, of course, traveled from all over the country to see this. The studio has been absolutely packed for a couple days.
Yeah, this is fun. If you guys are watching and you're in Seoul, definitely come tomorrow into the finals, as Canada may be moving on here today.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Canada, an amazing country, Artosis. People are very polite.
Yeah.
Saw that sign for Poutine. Poutine, excellent.
I love Canadians. Literally.
That's right. You're married to a Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now that Neve's gone, this is it, Artosis. We got to move to Canada.
Or Mexico.
Or Mexico. Mexico's still in this. Mexico's also a great country.
Yeah. And look, we already have Germany through to the next round as well.
That's right.
So this would be nice. 3 against 5 if SCARLETT can advance. And, I mean, that game 1 was pretty promising.
Yeah, so far so good. Let's see, though, how the early game goes. I do feel like it's kind of been weird today. We've had a lot of bumpy games for the Protoss at the start.
Yeah.
Some sneaky stuff going down here on the Zerg side of things.
Well, Protoss, you have to execute perfectly in that early game. You know, I guess that can be said to some degree in all races and all matchups. But, you know, if some speedlings get in, kill a few extra probes early when you're Protoss, that's very, very tough. Protoss is, like, you have to get your techs out at the right time. You have to keep the pressure on, or Zerg is going to run away with that match.
Yep, you're absolutely right. As we go on in this game, the Stargate is done, and it's going to be a Phoenix first, not an Oracle first.
Yeah, no extra Zerglings slipping around the map, trying to get a counterattack on, so a much more standard opening this time. Classic playing a little bit more laid back, a little bit more defensively.
Okay, so Ling speed is going to be done. You can see already the Classic, a very, very conservative opening here. He's like, no.
He's just sitting there with 2 Adepts, and they're like already in the position in case Lings come in, that they have the least surface area possible. Like,
that's right. No Lings allowed.
Yeah,
this
he's
time around.
Not interested in that. But the thing is, you get less scouting. You know, you can't. Sometimes you get an Adept up there and kill a drone, maybe kill a Ling or 2. Like, that's valuable stuff. But he's having to skip it all.
That's right. We see the Twilight Council coming down now, as well as 2 more gates.
Yeah, and we don't see additional gases. This is so important, Tasteless. This should end up being a charge all-in.
It looks like it is, and this is actually one of the scarier builds. Because if you don't respond, like, right away, the game will just spiral out of control. But there's not a lot of transitional stuff that you can do with this.
It might not be charged.
We'll know when the Twilight Council is done for sure.
Yeah. It's just there's not a robo, right? So this could be an Adept glaive attack.
Oh,
yeah.
That so that's the glaives, but it's also kind of the same idea, right?
It's similar.
It's there's a couple variations of this concept, which is you want to blindside the Zerg so quickly, and the damage comes out so fast that the game kind of slips between the Zerg's fingertips if they do not respond perfectly. And some of this comes down to instinct on SCARLETT's part. She has to say, okay, can she sniff out that the strategy's coming? Can she scout it?
Well, yeah, this is really interesting as well because there's 5 gates right now. 3 gate Adepts is pretty popular at the moment.
Yeah.
So when you hit 5, like if you're defending for a 3 gate, right, you're doing that with Lings and Queens for the most part. When it's 5 gate, Roaches would be nice, or at least some Banelings. And there is a Baneling nest on the way and a very quick Hydra Den, but I feel like this can do massive damage.
So this is very deceptive here. You see the setup. Classic's trying to telegraph to SCARLETT that he's taking a 3rd base here, and that he's going to be playing a standard game. But suddenly, these Adepts are going to come out, and the moment SCARLETT sees this, she's going to know exactly what Classic is up to.
It is so many Adepts. Oh my gosh.
That did not get spotted at all, right?
No, she doesn't know. Now she knows because it's on creep. The Lings turn around immediately here. Now this is a lot of Adepts. There's Hydras on the way, but Hydras won't help out that much against this. Oh my gosh, here we go. Glaives is done. The Shade finishes, and a lot of damage being dealt immediately.
You can see these drones trying to assist here in the defense. The Adepts are shading towards SCARLETT's main.
Shade up there, grabs a bunch of drones. Already 10 drones going down. This Phoenix putting on a little bit of pressure on this Overseer. Adepts over on the 3rd base as well. SCARLETT taking massive damage.
This is pretty crazy, Artosis. The splitting here with the Adepts seems like it might be too much for SCARLETT to handle. Already 25 worker kills.
Yeah, the Adepts continue to stack up the damage. This could be just about it, Tasteless. There's very little recourse left here for SCARLETT. She's lost so many workers. I wouldn't be surprised if she stays in the... GG.
Ready, fight.
Okay, in the upper right, in the blue, winning game number 2, our Protoss player, he is
Gosu Crew Classic.
Can you imagine being on Team Gosu Crew and having any ID that would rhyme with Gosu Crew? in the bottom left, in the red, winning game number 1, she is
SCARLETT.
You know what? A little notice to Gosu Crew. Sue is teamless at the moment.
That's right.
Gosu Crew Sue.
Gosu Crew Sue. I'm glad you like that, Artosis.
I do like that. It's so stupid.
Okay.
Texas will change his name to Tassel Do if you want to recruit him.
Tassel Do, Gosu Crew.
Gosu Crew, Tassel Do.
Yeah. Like, sorry, Tasis, we need you to also be good at the game. I'm like, oh. Okay. What is Classic going to do this time around? I mean, I don't think you're going to do another Adept all-in a best of 5, but sometimes because that seems almost illogical, that's the way to take the game. Will we actually get a normal PVZ here? We've had a series of very offbeat PVZs that we could talk about what happened in the late game, but a lot of times it's what's happened early on.
Well, okay, so normal I can't guarantee, but macro game I think is quite likely. You know, this is a map where you get that free extra base in your back.
Yeah.
So something like the Adept attack isn't really going to be that good. The fact that you can kind of split units super easily. There's only one way in, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. So it's so easy to defend things in general on this map. But a map like this can lead you into some different kind of interesting strategies. We've seen Zerg players really like occasionally going for things like Swarm Hosts on this map, sometimes Nidus play. We've seen, on the other hand, from Protoss on maps similar to this in the past, Carrier Tech. I mean, we're going to have to see what they want to do. There's a huge amount of strategies you can try on this map, but the early rushes are the ones that I think everyone's least fond of. They're least likely to work.
I agree with you, Artosis. It's the whole map architecturally is kind of shaped to reward somebody who's going to be a little bit greedier.
Yeah.
Want to focus on a longer game here. In case you guys are wondering, well, then why wouldn't Zerg take that back base first? Well, it's pretty easy to secure a natural, and then you can kind of take that that back base, the one that's tucked just behind your main, and it's basically for free. So again, we have the Stargate, Phoenix or Oracle. It will be a Phoenix.
Yeah, this is generally what we see nowadays. You push that Overlord out so you can be sneaky like we saw from Classic in the last game. Or at least they have to consider that you might be sneaky, whether Classic wants to do that or not. I'm interested to see when Classic wants to take his third, because you can take it so quickly here.
Oh, yeah.
You can just throw it on the Nexus after you kill this Overlord, in fact.
Okay, so the first Phoenix is out. Now, SCARLETT may try to come up with some kind of a plan to do some scouting, because generally speaking, if the Zerg is not going to be aggressive, the whole game for the Zerg is centered on reacting to what the Protoss is doing and basically staying 10, 20% ahead in whatever way you need to be ahead in order to win that game. And a lot of times you just outgrow, out-expand, and you kind of shut down bases here and there.
Well, right now the extra 2 gases are being taken. We don't see a Robo yet. We'll see if that pops up in a second here. And yeah, it does. So it's kind of looking like it might be an Archon drop type of situation here, which I think is really solid for this map.
Yeah, Archon drop is great. I remember when we first started seeing this a while back in GSL, and I'm like, oh yeah, that actually is the most efficient thing I've ever seen. The Archon is all shields. They can get the shields back, so you just keep dropping them out. Comboed with a War Prism, you're going to do so much damage.
I actually didn't think it was going to stay around when we first saw it. I'm like, this is cute, but is this going to last?
Well, at first, when it was happening, it looked kind of funny, right? Because it just was a weird concept. Like, you drop Archons?
That's so expensive.
Why? That just seems so weird.
Yeah.
And they don't have a lot of range. But actually, with the War Prism pickup, it's good.
Yeah, the pickup range is the key thing. If pickup range went away, so would Archon drop immediately. It would be so garbagey. Anyways, Prism popping out here. The Twilight is done. We'll see. Should be a Templar Archives coming up momentarily. But the third Nexus being taken very, very, very quickly here.
Okay. Protoss continues to tech up. I think we got ourselves a macro game, Tosis.
Yeah, yep. That's what you would expect on the map. Hope that nothing goes terribly wrong for anyone coming up in the next moments, because then we can get into a really long, big macro game, and both these players are quite good at that.
Yeah, I've been kind of itching for this since we started GSL vs. World. I wanted to see a great macro game, but we've had a lot of action-packed PVZs that can turn on a dime. So, the War Prism's out. Oracle continuing to survey around the edges of Scarlett's base, looking for any opening, trying to see, okay, where is Scarlett defending so that Classic will know where the right location to start the Archon drop is.
Well, should be making those Archons at this moment. As we see, the Hydralisk Den is on the way, already Roach Speed being gathered as well. So, pretty standard really on both sides, just slightly quicker third for the Protoss.
Okay, here we go. The first Archon drop is out and does take out a Queen. And I mean, you know, it's very easy basically to keep these alive, even at lower levels of StarCraft, if you're microing well. And so in this moment you say, okay, is he low on HP? And then you move out. You rinse and repeat. I mean, you're not losing anything as Protoss when you're doing this. Zerg is pretty much guaranteed to lose something in the process, sometimes a lot.
Archons have so much health with those shields that, I mean, you're just going to kill at least a roach or two, right? And they actually heal up exceedingly quickly when they're not being attacked.
And you got to keep in mind, because you can rotate around so quickly in a Warp Prism, Zerg has to make enough to kind of defend everywhere. And these are moments where Zerg could have been making workers or developing more of an economy.
Oh, totally. This is actually part of the reason why Archon Drop became so popular, is because you force out a bunch of roaches. By the way, a casual 8 drop overlords being made at 7 minutes and 10 seconds.
Wow, this is cool.
Drop lords.
And you know what? This is great on a map like this. We were talking about how this is a map that kind of rewards a greedy player. But, you know, and this has been growing in popularity, by the way, at top players in StarCraft 2, is doing these mass drops and basically out-positioning them.
The thing is, when you see the drops, normally you're already on the map pressuring some, and then it's like 5. But this is early, this is 8, this is massive. I'm excited to see it. I mean, the fact that...
I don't believe that Classic has any idea this is coming.
No, look, not yet.
Scarlett is so carefully escorting the drop overlords in a hidden path.
She's almost making it look like she might attack the front as well. So Classic might be... Yeah, he's completely out of position. You couldn't be more out of position than that.
Okay.
Well, I guess if he was on the other side of the map, that would be more out of position. But maybe it'd be more because you could counter.
Okay, here we go. Scarlett's going to load those up. There's only one cannon for now back there. Oh, is she gonna...
Was there a tag on that? Yeah, I thought there was only one Oracle and it died.
We're dumb people. Okay, never mind.
You and I are a couple dummies.
We're a couple dummy. Sorry, guys. So, what was a tag? Well, it's not going to wear off. I don't know how to cast this.
Well, those are stealth overlords. They don't even make noise when they get units in them.
Completely quiet.
Okay, well, are we going to see an insta recall here? Is the next question. Oh, wow. Look at that. Cannon stalkers.
This is actually really bad for Scarlett. Okay, and now she probably can't easily unload this, so she's going to try to unload and pick a fight with a good surround here. There's still 4 Immortals with shields. One goes down. Scarlett trying to close in, but this is so many storms.
Yeah, that is a lot of storms, and the Immortals dealing a ton of damage to this front row right now. More units coming down to fight against this. 4 Immortals against a mostly Roach army. Should be ending up going Classic's way, especially with storms like that.
Okay, so that attack was a total dumpster fire. I mean, it could not have been worse there for Scarlett. The fact that the drop was spotted, she had to unload, there were already Immortals there. I guess it's great she still has those Overlords, but is that really going to be a viable thing later on? I mean, for now, Scarlett is almost even in supply there with Classic, which is not a good thing. And Classic, once again, is able to apply more pressure.
Yeah, this was a really great defense from Classic overall. You really ended up reading that nicely. I guess I missed the second Oracle whenever that got in and tagged, because that was a crucial thing that slowed this down. Scarlett was very close to pulling off a drop that Classic wouldn't have seen.
Okay, now notice how cautious. Oh wow, this is a big find. Oh, that's too bad. Scarlett's not able to take down that Warp Prism. Anyways, I was going to say, Classic, you could see, is playing a really conservative game from here. He's just going to stay back. He's got to get a 4th base. You might as well keep upgrading, make some more Immortals. You're going to be in a good position for a later game. But keeping that pressure off of Scarlett has allowed her to tech into Mutas. Okay, hey, that was a great little pick off there.
Yeah, even forcing a little cancel like that can be really nice indeed. What do you think about the Mutas, though?
I don't know. It's just 5, right?
You're making 5 more right now.
Okay, so she's going to get... Well, you know, the problem is when you go for drop, right, a lot of times the way that you're going to defend a drop is the way you would defend mutas anyways. But
let's shield batteries.
Yeah, exactly.
Stalkers even.
Oh, well, she's going to do more than just that. These mutas are going to come here. This should draw some of the anti-air maybe into the main, but then, oh, man. I don't know, Artosis.
All right. I mean, I don't know about this, Tasteless. 5 cannons, 2 shield batteries.
The thing is that even though Scarlett's been shut down several times, she's already maxed out again. Oh, she's going to come in here and try to get these Templars. This is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, no, this is a good move. You get rid of high Templars. Oh, my gosh, and already has set off a ton of the shields.
Whoa.
The flank from Scarlett comes in, and out of nowhere, she's going to kill off the entire army of Classic.
Yeah, with no Templars, there's no way you can stop that army. And I think what initially looked like was going to be a failed drop, actually, Classic ended up moving himself out of position here.
Well, truly, the drop did so much damage, or the lack thereof. All these stalkers sitting behind these buildings in the natural aren't going to do anything.
They're stuck there. And look, Scarlett has a choice to now drop again later on here. She's already grown to a pretty insane amount on the map. She's on 5 bases. She could even take a 6th while she's doing this here. Classic is tucked into a corner on 3 bases, and now the main's going to get dropped. Wow.
Yeah, now Stalkers are going to have to walk up the ramp against this Scarlett, taking control of this game with some brilliant tactics here, even though her strategies were actually all destroyed. A Classic coming up the ramp, throwing down some side storms. He's not going to die here as of yet, but definitely a big lead right now going to Scarlett.
I got to say, though, I would not be surprised if he just taps out. I mean, there's pretty much no way to recover unless Scarlett were to make some kind of a huge mistake. And in this game that seemed like it was pretty neck and neck, and at one point Classic actually handling everything correctly, suddenly this game appears to be very, very simply going to Scarlett.
Well, Classic's trying to get some harassment on the other side of the map. But let's not forget, Scarlett has been expanding a lot. She's up at 6 bases, so that means Classic can find places to try to do damage. It's just, he doesn't have very much. This one little Warp Prism going to be picked off by the mutas.
Yeah, this is the problem, is when you feel that kind of pressure as Protoss, you want to send the Warp Prism out to try to harass, but then Scarlett goes back and kills it, and you don't have a Warp Prism.
Yeah.
And now you are just stuck. You're in timeout on the map, Artosis.
Yeah, it's kind of true. Now with Lurkers on the way, I mean, you've already forced so many Stalkers out of your opponent.
That's a good point, yeah.
There's not a unit worse against Lurkers than Stalkers. Probes are almost a better counter.
Yeah, it's almost like this unit counter treadmill that you're riding as a Zerg, where you're like, okay, now I made that, I'm going to make the unit that counters this, and then because of that, I'm going to make the unit that counters the counter to the counter to the counter.
It's like a pots and pans symphony.
Yeah, so the mutas actually, you can see the Phoenixes are trying to box the mutas in, but already Scarlett is preparing to do the Lurker push here. And look at this, because of the way the buildings are set up for Protoss, there's no easy retreat. The wall in there is like a funnel the units have to go through. And by the way, the Lurkers can actually push the Robo. While that was happening, I guess the Phoenixes started to come back, so Scarlett puts more pressure on in the main. Oh, that's unpowered.
You know, the Phoenixes are one thing that might be able to do something here. You can lift up Lurkers, and once you lift them, they're unburrowed. So there's definitely some little micro tricks you can try here as Classic once he clears out the mutas. But the amount of bases Scarlett has, like even if you kill off this whole army somewhat efficiently, which is going to be hard in and of itself, it's still a very uphill battle.
Ooh, Scarlett even running out of storms here. Being about as efficient as you can be. The noose is tightening here on Classic. I think pretty soon here we're going to have to go to game 4, Artosis.
It is looking that way. Look at those, the Phoenixes pop in for a moment. Overseer set up beautifully. So many Lurkers out here right now. Couple decent storms, but those aren't going to break you out.
It's crazy. This base that's being pushed only has 3 mineral patches left in it. Like,
she really doesn't
even
need
if
to push
Classic saves this, it's like, okay, well now how am I going to spend these 3 mineral patches? There's storms going down Artosis, but I don't know that it matters. I think Scarlett has too much.
Yeah, definitely she has too much at this point. I tell you, that was a game of StarCraft right there.
Yeah, no kidding. Really technical mid-game.
Ready?
Josh Sanctuary
rejection. Sanctuary, gosh. I'm a StarCraft caster. Okay, in the bottom right, in the blue, he needs a comeback. He is.
Gosu Crew Classic.
In the upper right, in the red, she's 1 win away from moving on. She is
SCARLETT.
It's time to see the best these two players have got.
I think Classic's going to go for some kind of a timing.
Yeah,
I think if you can't win, especially after seeing like SCARLETT drop like that, I mean that was actually pretty crazy. Like she drops and she's like, oh no, wait a minute. Oh, I got mutas now. I'm going to kill off your Templars.
Yeah.
Look, if you're struggling against the best players in the world in that kind of game, okay, fine, then avoid it. Play around it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you get to do Archon drop with a free third base, and then you completely block, the drop, an 8 Overlord drop rush, and then you still get wrecked. I mean, I think this is where you bring out the quick charge upgrade, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
That or you open with a Forge.
I mean, I feel as though, Classic knows what he needs to do, but it's a whole different beast when you have that, you have a bunch of bases and the Zerg can drop here or push there or fly mutas there. I mean, SCARLETT's proven that she's very, very good at that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I don't know. Now, I guess we can also look at the other side of the matchup. What does SCARLETT want to do? Does she just want to play a normal game? Is there any incentive to try to do some kind of an all-in, or is that really just throwing away your chances?
Oh, well, I think, she's a map ahead. She's actually pretty comfortable with aggressive plays. A lot of her success is on the back of aggressive plays. In fact, even one of the games here. So I wouldn't mind it. I think it's totally fine to mix those in. Now, on Classic side, Tastes, we've been talking about how if you don't go for Stargate, it's generally an all-in type of build.
Yeah.
Take a look at that production tab if you don't mind.
Qua?
I'm like, all right, now I'll read your mind. 3 of clubs. I mean, no Stargate.
Was this your card? No. Really? Yeah, so Classic going for a crazy build. And it's like we were talking about, Artosis. I mean, look, if you can't win a normal game, then don't play a normal game.
Yeah. Okay, the Overlord actually does not see anything, but now the Stalker itself kind of yells no Stargate, but some people go Stalker and Stargate to really mix it up.
Look at the Robo in the front. Oh.
Okay, well that really tells you what's going on. So this is the old school DT drop. You do it with, or Archon drop rather. You do it with Dark Templars instead of High Templars, and there can be 2 phases where you go the DTs and then the Archons, and you see if you can maybe pull your opponent out of position. I kind of am feeling like we might see, especially if some more gases get added here, possibly the double Warp Prism version of this.
Well, I think make it even crazier, right? So, with a strategy like this from Classic, guess what, guys? It doesn't matter how good SCARLETT is in mid-game or late game, because this game's probably not going to last that long. She's going to try to come in there and he's going to try to come in there and do a ton of damage. Classic is with these DTs, and just basically try to catch SCARLETT off guard. And suddenly the game is going to completely lose control. If she cannot shut this down, it's going to be problematic. Now, the follow-up here for Protoss, it's not an easy one. You're pretty much investing in a period of about a half a minute of this game of it going really well for you.
I think I guess the quote-unquote issue of this, right? One is this isn't a Templar Archives, it's a Dark Shrine, right? So you don't have splash damage follow-up, and you don't have a Stargate, so flying units become scary, and Mass Roach becomes scary. So there's a lot of reasons why this is not a standard normal build right now. But look, here comes the DT drop. The DT drop itself, this could do fantastic damage.
Okay, it started.
Look at this, you get that Spore right away. There is an Overseer on the way.
That's right. Right now, Classic going for the spawning pool, the next available target. The Overseer is out. It does look like that spawning pool might be taken out, though.
Yeah, the spawning pool is definitely going to die, and there are drones dying at the natural as well as the DT snuck down that ramp.
Okay.
And there is the double prism, so this is where it gets really dangerous. You got DTs everywhere.
It seems like SCARLETT already knows this should be coming. And
7 DTs on the map.
Oh my god. Okay, here we go. The Overseer's about to finish.
Well,
so far so good.
Okay. You can just go into Archons from here. There's 8 DTs out. That's also 4 Archons.
There's Immortals being made behind this. And Classic is taking a third base.
Now, you know, one of the ways that we sometimes see people play, and one of the reasons why this build really went out of style, is that a lot of Zergs were hitting a massive Speed Roach counterattack against the double Archon Prism, because you're low on Immortals at that point. I'll be interested to see if that's what Scarlet wants to do.
Okay. Now the Archon drop is the next phase of this. If you didn't blindside him enough with the invisible DTs, now you at least get that splash. And it looks like the main is actually quite exposed.
Really good damage already. A couple drones, almost gets that queen there. A lot of units having to be forced back up, and the Archons doing damage all over the place.
The Warp Prism! Oh, good save here by Classic.
Oh, but this means that the Archons are going to die.
Oh, and the Warp Prism goes down as well. This is bad.
Losing one of the Prisms and two of the Archons is not how this drop is supposed to go. The damage started to get good, but those Archons are worth a lot. You put so many of your resources into this.
Okay, now let's see if Classic can keep this Warp Prism alive. There's enough roaches here that you really can't put those Archons on the ground. They need to stay in the air. Classic getting that third base up, but it seems like, as far as I can tell, Artosis, Scarlet has basically stabilized.
Yeah.
And is now able to go back to developing her economy.
Well, this is the part for Classic that gets a little bit tricky, right? You definitely need to get out a good amount of Immortals. Yeah, you already have some Archons and Prisms and stuff like that. You see a lot of sentries have been made also, and that's partially due to the lack of splash damage, but that's one thing that Classic has to think about. Either you have to attack quickly before Scarlet gets a critical mass, or you must get into Psystorm.
It's very important. There's no other way to deal with that much bulk in the Zerg's army.
Yeah.
So this Warp Prism needs to keep Scarlet very honest. Classic wants to make sure that this Warp Prism keeps Scarlet defending, and that way she can't start to assert her map dominance. Now, Classic's going to push out.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's one of the options that you have available to you. If you can get a push out and do some decent damage, then it puts off how quickly you need that splash damage. But I don't know if this is going to do that good of damage. Like, Scarlet has a pretty decent army right now. Maybe you can cancel the fourth, but I don't think you do real damage with Scarlet.
Okay. It looks like Classic could try to meet Scarlet's army right over here. In fact, this angle's really good here. Oh! Huge force fields!
Oh my god, that was so many free units right there. That is actually a big deal. The fourth gets canceled immediately. Scarlet could be in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, despite the good hold there with that harass, that initial engage went very well for Classic.
All right, here we go. Force fields once again. 4 Immortals in the background doing so much right now. Another warp in. I'm starting to feel this for Classic. It's really looking like he's breaking through.
Classic beginning to push up here. Scarlet on the ropes. The Zealots are coming in now, and you can see Scarlet's army is isolated now into this corner. From behind, though, we see some Hydras coming in here trying to snipe down that Warp Prism. The hatchery at half health.
Oh, so much damage here at the third, and GG is called.
Ready, fight.
In the bottom right, in the blue, our Protoss player. He is
Gosu Crew Classic.
Gosu Crew. You could absolutely tattoo that on your knuckles, Artosis, when you think about it.
Oh my god.
In the bottom left, in the red, from Canada, she is
Scarlett.
I mean, first off,
Scarlet. You could absolutely tattoo that on your knuckles as well, Artosis.
Yeah, I was going to say, from the video that we have introing this show, the innovation tattoos totally sold me on knuckle.
That's right.
On knuckles, and imagine Gosu Crew across your knuckles, right? And then you're like, I wonder what he has on his thumbs, and you give thumbs up, and there's GG.
Oh man.
Oh, it's over, Tasteless.
It's over.
Even if you go to prison, you already won. Okay.
Okay. So Classic.
Oh, that's an interesting wall he's making.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's not really at the ramp, but it's more. Well, it's not at the big ramp. It's at the ramp close to his.
There's more high ground area.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine though. It'll make a wall. Anyways, this is the really cool part, is waiting for the cybernetics core to finish.
That's right.
Because that's when we get to see. It's most likely the Protoss that dictates the game. Like, yeah, Scarlet could cheese, and that suddenly, all attention will turn to that. But generally, the first choice is made by Protoss. Do you get the Stargate? Do you get something else? And I'm really thinking it's going to be Stargate this game.
Well, it has to be. You can still do something a little bit crazy with the Stargate opening, but, you know, to not get it, okay, Classic pulled it off. He got that win in Game 4, but you know, there's a reason why we do make these guys play a best of 5. You need to have a series of games at the highest level because you have to have a wide range of strategies. You need to be able to play on different maps.
And there is the Stargate being made right at the wall. So the fact that it's being made at the wall makes me think it probably won't be double Stargate because it's very easy to scout that Phoenixes are still being made from that front Stargate. Normally, if you're going for that, it's going to be in your main. And I feel like as soon as Scarlett scouts this, she can kind of alter her play a little bit, right? Like, you don't necessarily need to get a Roach Warren as soon as you scout this. Yeah, you might follow up with Archon Drop, but Classic didn't seem that great with it in the game on 16-bit, so,
Okay, Stargate's going to finish. We have a few Adepts out on the map, just applying a little bit of pressure, trying to snoop and see, is there anything suspicious that Scarlett's up to? Because the Protoss needs to be wary about that as well. We have the 2 Adepts coming forward now, going to try to one-shot some of these drones. Good target firing so far.
Looks like a couple drones already. 3 drones going down. 4 drones going down. 4 drones going down.
That might be 4 drones too many, Artosis.
At least 2 drones too many. Come on.
Yeah, 4 is actually a lot for an early game pressure like that. It's not the end of the world, but, you know, these things can occasionally start to add up.
Well, you know, those drones are gone. They're not coming back, but now the Oracle coming out, trying to get some damage.
Okay, hold on.
Careful about that. Don't want to be losing an Oracle. Not at this point.
That's one way to really throw away your lead.
Second Oracle's coming out.
Classic's Oracles seem to take quite a beating. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, they do. He takes a lot of damage. He's trying to get the maximum amount of damage he can get with them.
There's nothing new coming out of that Stargate. We have a Robo coming here, as well as a Twilight Council.
Okay, and yeah, that's looking like it's going to be the Archon drop. Scarlett defended this very, very well before. We'll see if she can get that done once again.
Okay, here come the Oracles again. Scarlett's already evacuated drones from that area. We have the Oracles, splitting up now. But so far, not that much more damage has really been dealt.
Yeah, mostly focusing on scouting at the moment. And, we just saw Charge was on the way. I mean, not a huge surprise right there. This could just be one of those more middle-of-the-road builds. Yeah, this is kind of like what Zest was doing a lot for a while. You do the Archon drop, you have a bunch of Zealots with it, you're putting on that pressure. And normally you would want Roaches against this, but Scarlett is opting for this quick Baneling Nest.
Yeah.
She's getting a Hydralisk Den as well, but the Banelings are really the crucial part for the beginning of the attack. If it's Zealot based.
When you see the Zealot legs, you say, okay, there's definitely going to be some Zealots here. And a good Baneling Connect can absolutely shoot this push into the foot. We have Storm now coming down here as well. And I got to say, Classic played, at least in this game, it looks like it's a much more standard orthodox approach.
Yeah, and this is actually an incredibly quick Psystorm. I think this has to do with the amount of scouting he's been putting on with the double Oracle. To see the Hydralisk Den this quickly, like, look at her drone count. 52 drones. You're making Hydras already? Okay, this is, this is a little bit aggressive from Scarlett as far as the tech goes versus drone count. So to get really quick Psystorm, I think that this is a smart move.
Okay, Warp Prism coming out. Now note, Scarlett's going to move the Banelings back. You almost want to fish the Warp Prism in. Make the Protoss feel safe.
Yeah.
Again, if you lose that Warp Prism, the rush is gone.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is, he's not even going to make Archons, because when you see Hydras this quick, Archons don't do it. There's not a unit worse against Hydras than Archons, really.
Truly.
Like, think about that, okay? It's pretty crazy how quickly they gun them down. The range just isn't there. But Psystorm, on the other hand, is pretty darn good. Oh my gosh. That was...
How did that only kill 3 drones?
Because Scarlett split.
That was so crazy.
So well.
I mean, I think there's like 9 or 10 more drones that have almost 1 HP there.
By the way, that's probably the quickest storm drop we've ever seen.
I know. It looked like it was like a computer program casting it or something. I'm like, well, you can't click that fast.
It was
somehow Scarlett's still kind of dodged it for the most part. But now it's going to be Scarlett's turn to try to pick a fight. We see the Oracle's laying some traps. The storm goes down and misses.
Uh-oh, there's not that many storms. 2 of the storms were already used up. Archons are being made here. I mean, okay, that's a good storm right there. The Banelings are the scary part here because your army is mostly Zealots. A few go forward to try to eat up some of the shots. Those Archons need to get in front. Archons, why are you running? You're supposed to fight!
Okay, the Banelings are coming up now. Classic going to lose a lot of these Zealots to that as the Hydras press forward.
Oh, a lot of Banelings actually connecting with Archons here. So as the Banelings get cleaned up, the Zealots come out to play, but more Banelings come up and connect here. The Hydra's starting to mouth through everything.
You can see Classic going to try to rely on some of that Warp Prism micro, but it might not be enough.
Oh, the push continues here from Scarlett. So few units left for Classic.
Even though Classic took a beating and lost a lot of his army, Classic's third base is still there. There's nothing protecting it, but Scarlett wants to wait for reinforcements before she attacks again.
Okay, Scarlett still has a little bit of a bank. She's rallying over it as much as she can, goes after this third base, and as you said, nothing's there. Classic has to back off, brings over his couple of Archons, though, to try to clean up these Lings.
Okay, Scarlett decides to come back here and try to attack the Zealots in the depths that are trying to come outside of the natural. And there's nothing here to force field, so these Banelings can just push their way through.
Oh, these Banelings could do so much damage, getting right in on top of the mineral line here, going after some Zealots as well. Tons of probes start to go down.
Artosis, I think she has done it.
I think you're right here, Tasteless. The Archon's about to pop. 1, 2 Archons go down. The third one's still fighting on. It looks like the rest of the Hydras will pull back for now, but Scarlett continues to stack up the damage on Classic.
Scarlett needs to keep these Hydras alive. The Lings alone are not going to cut it. You can always try to out-micro the Lings.
Man, a few probes left at that third base. Classic still mining. Looks like Scarlett going to add a Macrat. She's had a hard time spending her money during all of this.
Did Classic actually just survive this? That was so close. Look how many damaged probes are over there in the natural, but I mean, it doesn't seem like there's going to be any more full-on pushes. We're going to have a Ling harass coming here. Now, maybe Scarlett can take out a few of these probes. That would be very good for her, but I mean, there was a point in time where it looked like Classic was about to die.
Yeah, and it was very, very close there, especially when the Banelings got on top of the probes, on top of the Zealots. If you just do that little bit of extra, you push a little bit more, the Hydras can gun down everything. But Classic, I mean, scrappy as can be, is still in this. Scarlett's taking her fourth base, getting some macro going for Baneling speed. I still kind of like a lot of things about her position, but as Classic stabilizes, he builds his Archons, Immortals, and Psystorm, it gets kind of scary for this army that Scarlett has.
Scarlett had taken out all of the assets that allow Protoss to survive into the late game, but he barely held it off, I think with like one remaining Archon. And then he's rebuilt. Yeah. So he's kind of back to where he wanted to be anyways. Oh, man. And these Banelings have been spotted. What? Oh, okay. Yeah. Dropping one Zealot on there to soak up all the Baneling hits.
That's a quality sacrifice right there. Okay, so right now Classic, I feel like what Classic needs to do is sit back just a tiny bit longer. This army is getting really good for Classic. Looks like he wants to pressure a little bit. Maybe get units out to the front because there's a Warp Prism flying elsewhere. And if that Prism can do something like hit the third base while the army pressures towards the front of the creep, that is going to be cash money for Classic.
Right. Scarlett's creep spread is pretty good. It is a little bit awkward for her, though, that she is actually expanding towards the Protoss. Okay, now, is she ready for this? Are there any Hydras in position? I don't see any right now.
Yeah, this Prism actually looks like it could do some serious damage. Getting into this line of drones pretty well. Going after the Queen. Look at that, a single Zealot over here. That's kind of funny. But, you know, this harassment doesn't necessarily have to do a lot, but it is all over the place. It's really pulling Scarlett around.
Yeah, it seems like Classic is actually doing a lot with a little here. But this is eventually going to be cleaned up.
You know, even buying this time right now, seeing things like double Evo and no Hive on the way, these are valuable things for Classic.
We had some drop overlords made here.
Ooh.
Now, let's not forget how Scarlett won Game 3, Artosis.
Look how much Psystorm there is there.
Yeah, and keep in mind, the creep is basically touching the Protoss' fourth base.
That is true. Her creep spread is pretty phenomenal this game.
She's almost maxed out. Now, there's still that Warp Prism hiding in the back here, so Classic could do a warp in, and then maybe, even if Scarlett does a lot of damage to Classic's front, then the harass there from Classic may be too much.
All right, she's moving forward right now, getting ready to maybe assault this 4th base of Classic. See a lot of upgrades finishing up here. +2 melee, +2 range for Scarlett on the way. Definitely kind of shows her colors as to what she has planned here. Are those all Banelings in there? Now, is she going for mineral lines, or is she trying to flank and drop on High Templars?
Well, I think both could be good, but I mean, if she can get a drop on the High Templars, they're all bunched up right now. It looks like this is going to be for the minerals unless she moves somewhere else. Really good storms here by Classic. Scarlett has to respect that.
But look at this.
Oh my God.
It was a diversion.
Oh, this is kind of funny. It's actually quite okay. Oh, wow, that was actually very nicely done. Meanwhile, another great drop over here where these probes are, 10 kills.
Yeah, not too bad. Of course, +2 melee, nowhere near done. That would have made this much more effective, but definitely worthwhile anyways. And just keeping Classic back on the defensive is a strong move right now. But we've gotten to the point where you're not going to break Classic unless he walks out of his defensive area. You can't go up ramps against what he has right now. So Scarlett is starting to tech up a bit more, going for Spire, but I feel like she needs to go Hive as well.
Yeah, Scarlett's basically in control of the map, but Classic has chosen to basically not try to assert himself on the map. He's staying back and saying, come at me, Scarlett. And if Scarlett has any bad engages, then it's going to be a very unfavorable trade, which is exactly what Classic wants.
Yeah, and he's just standing in these choke points, standing up these ramps. It's a very good positional game right now. Look at this. He's even preparing. He realizes that the one way Scarlett could break him is something like Broodlords. He's going into Tempest or Carrier Tech. It's up to him. And, you know, I think it's really smart. He's just kind of preparing.
Ooh, this is a good little attack over here by Scarlett. Coming in here, and you can see the probes are not quite being pulled. Oh, my God. Had +2 attack in there. It would have been crazy. But Scarlett is not done. She can keep slow dripping these Banelings into various parts of the Protoss' expansions where they're not really covered. And workers are being killed. The problem is it's a lot of gas you're spending. And of course, once a Baneling does anything, it's gone, right? So you need to make sure you're being efficient with this.
Now, this is really interesting, the way that Scarlett's approaching this. She's skipping going for Hive Tech completely. She's just on Ling Bane Hydra no matter what here. Oh my gosh, coming back in. But her drone count is not that high. Oh my God, she's getting stormed over. I'm surprised she's staying there, but you know, it is her 4th base, so she wants it to live here, trying to get up and erase all these Archons now. She ate so many storms.
The Hydras are continuing to push. They've got a pretty good arc around these Archons and Immortals.
Oh my God, she's really starting to pick off these units now. The Hydras, their DPS just out of control. Kills off the rest of the army. She loses her base, she loses 22 drones, but she kills most of the expensive units of Classic.
Supplies are both knocked down at 90. These players are bruised and battered. I don't think that Scarlett will be able to counter push right away that 4th base, but Classic did do some good job. Did a good job here. Doing a decent amount of damage and really keeping Scarlett honest. Now, when you lose that many Immortals, it hits a reset button, Artosis. The Immortals are not going to be a factor for a little bit here.
There's 11 mutas on the way. Yes. I'm trying to make your point into more reality because the Archons died as well, right? Without Archons, without those storms, I mean, the mutas are going to be so scary. There's almost nothing for anti-muta right now. There's 3 Stalkers, 2 Archons, 1 Phoenix. 10, 11 mutas can basically ignore that.
And even if 1 or 2 Archons comes out, the mutas can just run away from it.
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like Scarlett may end up revealing her hand already here as the War Prism comes out. But of course, she had to get rid of this War Prism before she could do anything. But there's only so much time that Classic has to try to respond to this. Let's also point out, where on earth would Protoss expand after this, Artosis?
Oh, that's where it gets hard in darkness.
I think Scarlett she doesn't have to in the game, but she could just try to drag the game out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. She has to kind of recover some of her economy, though, as well. She's now made 11 mutas that she kind of had to use because Classic was harassing very well there. Now Classic is getting into ranged Phoenixes. So, like, ranged Phoenixes are a pretty darn hard counter to these mutas. I'm not sure what she's going to get done with them now.
Here? Okay.
Hey, +2.
Yeah, you know, I
get damage no matter what.
Yeah, it seems like as long as Scarlett monitors that upper right quadrant, which is the only place that Protoss can try to expand to, she can play the waiting game. Protoss is eventually going to go broke. Okay, some great storms here. Baneling's unable to connect.
The Baneling's still looking for their damage. Get like a single probe. Muta's still flying around. They aren't really going to do very much. There's so many Phoenixes being made. This is actually getting a little bit frightening, right? Because the Mutas are worthless against what is now 9 ranged Phoenixes. The Phoenixes can find a lot more value. As long as they aren't directly engaging a gigantic clump of Hydras like that, they can do a ton. They can fly around, kill Overlords, pick off drones, pick off Banelings, all sorts of things.
And I think it's nearly time for Classic to initiate. You can see the Mutas are looking for an opening. Again, if those Phoenixes catch those Mutas, they are gone. Oh, another attempted Baneling connect. That assimilator might be killed by Banelings eventually, Artosis.
For sure it's going to.
Okay,
oh, 11 probes.
That's
Nice.
huge. 11. Now, Scarlett's expanding once more. Remember, Protoss is going to run out of minerals. The only place logically a Protoss could go here is the upper right quadrant of the map.
And the closest base she's already dropping creep on. So Scarlett's on top of that. She's really kind of paying attention to whether or not he's going to take that additional base. But Classic right now, it seems like he's just working towards a max on 4 bases. He might just be like, okay, I'm just going to get one really strong max and try to be cost efficient and end it.
Yeah. Now, I think Scarlett, being the patient player that she has been in this game, knows that counterattacks are always an option. Just see if you can't fish that Protoss army out. You can see the Classic is itching to try to cast some storms off. Now, Scarlett's running back and forth outside the ramp, and then she darts away to make sure she doesn't lose a single unit to a storm.
Uh-oh. Well,
Mutas are out. There's enough cannons, I guess. They can't really do that much. I actually thought those Mutas were closer to the War Prism. Then I looked on the minimap and realized, in fact, the War Prism's quite far away.
Some Zealots actually hitting this base. I'm not even sure, what is this, base 7 for Scarlett, base 6, something like that. But it looks like it will get taken out. Nice pick off there by Classic. And now the Phoenixes are kind of out and about. This is what I was a little bit nervous about. These Phoenixes just retain value in a situation like this.
I'm almost wondering if these Phoenixes could have been sent out earlier. You know, he was actually staying back for a while. It almost seems like he realized suddenly, oh my gosh, I do have Phoenixes. I should probably get out there and try to do something. Or maybe he was afraid of a counterattack by the Mutas like we see here too.
Yeah. And, I mean, it definitely does do some damage. It looks like a recall maybe on the Phoenixes there.
Still, though.
Wow, they're actually, I mean, that's reasonable damage, and she scouts that carriers are on the way. So this, like, I guess the Mutas did about as much as they could in this situation.
By the way, Classic continuing to warp these Zealots in here and there. Taking out these hatcheries is going to slow Scarlett down. She's already not maxed out again. And Classic is patiently building up a carrier fleet.
Yeah, and what a funny thing about this map is, as well, by the way. Like, these bases get so far away that any harassment that you can get over there undetected, it takes so long to go up and stop it that it just does damage.
Yeah, we saw that hatchery get picked off, or get nearly picked off, and it's like, Scarlett saw the moment it got there, and still it took that long to run all the way across the map with creep connecting everything.
And it's speedlings. It's like, well, I mean, that's as quick as you can respond.
Okay, Classic's moving out now.
Oh, man, this is the army that Classic has been waiting for. That's so many Archons that really Corruptors are not going to cut it against these carriers.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. In a matter of seconds, so many Corruptors fall. You know, this game has been crazy back and forth, but Classic's army right now is so scary. Here we go.
Okay, Scarlett coming in from all angles right now. Storm's going down, taking out a lot of those Hydras. And you can see on both sides, Scarlett is getting pushed back.
A lot of Hydras do remain, trying to pick off anything that can be picked off here. Psystorm's going all over the Hydras, counter harassment at the same time from Classic.
Scarlett continuing to try to kite with these Hydralisks here, but I think there just might be too much. Classic's army so sophisticated. Scarlett at 48 supply. GG, Classic does it.